They unearthed the shocking truths behind the three harsh judgments of Revelation. Few knew what truly happened that night in the shadowy depths of Scripture. 3 judgments, shrouded in mystery, awaited those daring enough to uncover their secrets. The air was electric with fear, anticipation hanging thick around the flickering candlelight, where whispers of calamity danced on the lips of the curious. In a world where the line between the divine and the dark thinned, a man named John stood on the barren Isle of Patmos, grappling with visions that racked his soul. The stars above blinked like watchful eyes, as if warning him of the chaos to come. Here, in this forgotten corner of the earth, a revelation and unveiling would shake the very foundations of their faith. Revelation was not merely a book, it was a fire igniting the hearts of his fellow believers. The first judgment descended like a heavy storm. The earth shook, and the skies roared. Something dreadful emerged, dark and twisted. A fiery red horse raced across the horizon, its rider wielding a sword that promised death. It was not just a vision, it was a stark reminder of mankind's greatest fears. War and bloodshed loomed closer than they dared to dream. John's heart raced as the screams of the fleeing echoed in his ears. Then came the second dreadful sign. Loathsome figures crawled forth from the depths, bringing agony to all who encountered them. These monstrous beings did not just inflict physical pain, they pierced the very core of one's spirit, festering doubts and igniting despair. It was said that those tormented bent low in anguish, their bodies trembling, faces twisted in horror, a dire warning to all who refused to heed the call of divine grace. Finally, the third judgment echoed with booming voice across the heavens. A great darkness fell. Chaos erupted as the very elements rebelled against their maker. Scorching hail mingled with blood, a haunting symphony of destruction that left stark scars on the landscape of the earth. As the echoes of these judgments lingered in the silence that followed, John was left trembling, a lump lodged deep in his throat. How could a loving God permit such suffering? The images of pain, fear, and the anguish they stirred clouded his vision. It was hard to see a way forward amidst such despair. But wait! Was there hope concealed within the darkness? Every raincloud has its silver lining, they say. Maybe those who faced these fierce judgments had a chance for redemption, a chance for rebirth and renewal. But how could one reconcile the terror of these visions with the promise of hope? What lay beneath the surface of each terrifying mark? What truths beckoned from the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the night deepened, shadows twisted into familiar shapes and the flickering candlelight danced, offering John a brief comfort amidst the chaos of his thoughts. The judgments he had witnessed were not merely threats, they were veils drawn back, unveiling the raw essence of humanity's soul. Yet, the depth of their meaning eluded him, lingering just beyond the grasp of understanding. That eye and the stillness, John pondered the path that led to such calamity. What had become of the hearts of the people whom God had called his own? The veil of fear shrouding nations may well have been woven from thread upon thread of arrogance, greed, and abandonment of the covenant. What had ignited their descent into despair? Reflection weighed heavily on his spirit, questions rising like a mist that refused to dissipate. Then, as if moved by the very breath of the divine, a rustle in the underbrush caught John's attention. Emerging from a thicket of withered trees, an old man approached, his face etched with lines of wisdom and sorrow. His eyes sparkled like the stars under which he walked, holding secrets that seemed to pulse with ancient knowledge. "John," the man said calmly, his voice as soothing as the softest breeze, "do not be afraid of what you have witnessed. For even in wrath, there is mercy woven through the tapestry of God's plans." With those words, John felt a flicker of warmth amidst his dread. He yearned for understanding, yearning to peer deeper into the judgments and comprehend their mystery. "Tell me, wise one," John implored, "how can such harsh judgment serve as a path toward redemption?" The elder paused thoughtfully, gazing into the distance where shadows loomed like specters. "Consider the nature of fire, young one. It consumes, yes, but it also refines. The judgments are akin to flames of purification, not solely instruments of punishment, but means of awakening the spirit from its depths of slumber." The old man continued, weaving his words into a melody of hope. "What pains the heart, what scars the mind, these may lead to rebirth, leading each soul back to the cradle of grace. The darkness cried for attention, for within darkness is the longing for the return of light. As the man spoke, John recalled the countless times his faith had wavered, reminders of how easily one could stray. Perhaps the very chaos he witnessed was not just divine anger but a loving call to return home. What if those who found themselves at the brink of despair were simply being beckoned back toward the heart of the Creator? This thought sparked within him a new question: could the shadows that haunted his vision be the fertile ground from which true transformation could arise? The elder smiled, sensing John's burgeoning realization. "Ask not just for understanding of the judgments, but let your spirit absorb their essence. For every reckoning carries the promise of a brand new beginning. Witness the judgments not as an end, but as a pivotal moment where old things must pass away to make way for the new. As the first light of dawn began to seep into the night, painting the sky in hues of gold, John found himself teetering on the edge of a profound revelation. What if the judgments were not just severe warnings but the pathways leading to new awakenings? Could the throes of anguish enveloping the world still harbor the flicker of salvation? With his heart racing and soul stirred, he understood that his journey into the depth of these truths had only just begun. Yet, the question still lingered in the fragile light of dawn: was redemption buried within pain, and could the shadows of judgment ultimately lead to the brilliance of grace? As the sun rose, casting its radiant light upon the earth, John felt both a heavy anticipation and a flickering hope ignite within him. The old man, still beside him, seemed illuminated, as if the very essence of the dawn had settled within his spirit. The morning air was crisp, fresh with the promise of new beginnings, yet the weight of the night's revelations loomed still, casting long shadows across John's heart. "Wise one," John began, his voice woven with curiosity, "if the judgments are meant to awaken us, what then do we do in the face of this impending reality? How do we prepare our souls for the storms foretold? Can one truly emerge unscathed from such wrath?" The elder looked at him with a gaze that seemed to pierce the veil of time, as if he had stood witness to countless trials. "Preparation begins within, young seeker. To navigate the storms of judgment, one must cultivate an inner stillness, a sanctuary of faith that remains unmoved by external chaos. The heart must be tethered to the promises of God, for the storms will test the strength of every fiber of belief. But how can we trust when the very foundations of our existence seem to be shaken?" John's voice, laced with uncertainty, mirrored the fears that echoed within the hearts of many. "When faced with calamity, how can we discern the hand of God amidst the tumult?" A glimmer of understanding sparkled in the old man's eyes. "The path of discernment comes from a quiet heart attuned to the divine. In times of strife, listen intently, for God often speaks through whispers amidst the clamor. The judgments you feared reveal deeper truths about your allegiance. Are you anchored in love, humility, and justice, or are you swayed by pride?" John mulled over the words, feeling the weight of his own heart's inclinations. Had he too wavered under the temptations of self-interest? The judgments he witnessed were not merely an abstraction, they were woven into the very fabric of a collective struggle, an invitation for introspection. "What, then, must we do?" he asked, a yearning stirring within him. "For those who have strayed, who are consumed by despair, how can we guide them back toward the light?" "Ah, therein lies the crux of the matter. A guide must be grounded in grace," the elder replied, his voice gentle but firm. "You must become a vessel of compassion, embracing those lost in the shadows. Let their pain echo within your spirit so that you may lovingly extend your hand, not in condemnation, but in a call to awakening. Remind them that the judgments are an invitation to reconcile with the Most High, a beckoning to reclaim the covenant. As the sun climbed higher, John began to feel the stirring of purpose within him. To be a vessel of compassion was no small task. It demanded vulnerability, a willingness to engage with the raw ache of human existence. But what if our efforts are met with hostility? What if we are cast aside? Are we not risking our own hearts by offering such love? The old man nodded solemnly. A heart, though it may be wounded, can still bear witness to hope. Each act of love, though it may be rejected, radiates life, creating ripples that no darkness can fully quell. Even in sorrow, your offering might awaken another spirit to the truth of their own pain. This is the cycle of grace, to be broken and mended, to receive and give, to judge and forgive. John stood quietly, his heart with a rhythm matching the rising sun. The battle within him swelled. Could he embrace this call? Could he venture forth, faced against judgment, driven by an understanding that even in darkness, there could be sparks of resurrection? But the inquiries multiplied with each breath. As he gazed at the vast expanse of the horizon, he wondered, in a world veiled by judgment, how could one ever find the strength to rise? And if redemption is indeed woven within the threads of suffering, what does it truly mean to be reborn amidst the flames? As the dawn stretched its golden fingers across the earth, John felt a stirring within him, a sense of urgency mingling with the weight of contemplation. The words of the elder lingered like a fragrance in the morning air, sweet yet haunting, reminding him of the delicate balance between hope and despair. He turned to the old man, eager to delve deeper into the mystery of judgment and grace. Wise one, he began with a tremor of determination, if we are to embrace the call to be vessels of compassion and guides back to the light, what truths must we uncover about the judgments themselves? Are they merely instruments of wrath, or is there a deeper purpose ordained by the divine? The elder's gaze shifted to the horizon, where the sun crowned the sky as if affirming the day's new beginnings. Ah, young John, judgments are like the refining fire, meant to purify rather than destroy. They reveal the hearts of men, exposing that which must be transformed. Think of them as solemn invitations to introspection, calls to return to a path of righteousness. John pondered this perspective, the flickers of doubt sparking within. But what if the judgments are too harsh? How can one reconcile the suffering they invoke with the notion of a loving God? Can pain be justifiable in the hands of mercy? The elder smiled, a knowing reflection playing upon his lips. In the grand tapestry of existence, pain and mercy are often intertwined. Like the potter with clay, a master craftsman will use pressure to mold a vessel into something of beauty. It is not unlike the judgments cast forth. They seek to reshape hearts hardened by pride and despair. Like the silversmith, the Lord must heat and refine to draw out the dross, leaving a purified soul ready to reflect his light. As John absorbed this wisdom, he felt the tendrils of solace weave through his apprehensions. So there is purpose in our suffering? He asked, a flicker of hope igniting. If judgments are pathways to awakening, does that mean we must welcome them, however painful? Indeed, the elder replied, his tone steady yet compassionate. To welcome judgment is to recognize our own imperfection. It is an acceptance that we are part of a larger narrative unfolding in the realm of spirit, where every trial is a step toward reclaiming our true selves. But remember, John, the challenge lies not just in enduring the pain, but in how we respond to it. Love must be our root, guiding us through the fire. With each word, John's heart swelled with clarity. Yet, another question tugged at his spirit, one he dared to voice. But what of those who remain untouched by the judgment? Those who walk in darkness, whether ignorantly or defiantly. How do we reach them, if they resist the very light we seek to carry? The elder raised a finger to the sky, where clouds shifted as if in divine choreography. The very act of living in truth becomes a testament. Your light must shine, even amidst opposition. To be present in your authentic self is an unyielding call. Each choice you make in love, each moment of genuine compassion extended, chips away at the shadows. It may take time, but hearts are drawn to the light, much like moths to the flame. John's mind whirled with these thoughts, envisioning the faces of those lost in despair, entangled in shadows of their own making. And if our light is not enough to spark their awakening? What then? Are we to bear the weight of their shadows alone? To extend love that might be rejected once more, each heart carries its own burdens, the elder replied. Yet, in your willingness to love, you partake in the sacred mystery of redemption. There lies beauty in vulnerability, for even the most hardened heart can feel the warmth of grace. Remember, it is not merely about success, it is about faithfulness, about embodying love amid all trials. As the sun arced across the azure sky, John felt a profound sense of purpose oversized by a current of uncertainty. His journey had shifted in focus. It was no longer just about judgment but about the intricate dance between love and rejection, light and darkness. In that moment of reflection, a pressing question settled within him, like a suffocating weight of realization. If judgment is truly an invitation to transformation, how do we discern when to offer our light and when to step back, allowing others the space to find their own path to grace? How do we navigate this delicate balance without losing hope? As the sun climbed higher, casting its warmth upon the earth, John felt compelled to explore the depths of the elder's wisdom further. He had recognized a rhythm in the conversation, a cadence between their questions and answers, like the beating of two hearts attuned to the same melody. Today he was not solely a seeker of knowledge, he was willing to confront the truths that lay hidden, even those that felt uncomfortable. Wise one, he ventured again, you speak of judgment as a refining fire, and yet in the visions shared by the prophets, we find harsh warnings of calamities and great tribulations. Could it be that there are levels of divine judgment, some meant for correction, while others serve a more catastrophic purpose? The elder nodded slowly, his deep-set eyes scanning the horizon once more. Ah, John, you perceive rightly. The scriptures reveal layers to all things divine. The harsh judgments of Revelation, as you rightly term them, are sealed within a mystery from which we glean profound insights. John listened intently, sensing that they were entering into a sacred space of discourse. What mysteries could these judgments unveil? He asked, his heart racing with anticipation. Consider the nature of the human heart, the elder continued, and how it sometimes chooses to turn away from the light. In the book of Revelation, the imagery of plagues and calamities is compelling. It reveals the consequences of hardened hearts and actions estranged from love. Yet, these judgments also echo a yearning for redemption, a cry from a disheartened Creator seeking the return of His children. But such devastation does not merely reflect the hands of a merciful God, John protested, it bears the weight of fear. How, then, do we differentiate between punishment and mercy within these judgments? The elder let out a deep sigh, the kind that carries the burdens of ages past. The response to such questions lies within the heart of every reader of Scripture. To some, the visions evoke dread, to others, a call to action. It is believed that the judgments serve as a universal reminder both of the gravity of sin and the necessity for repentance. They challenge us to examine our lives, to discern where we have embraced darkness instead of nourishing the light. John nodded, feeling the depth of this notion. So, the judgments might be seen as not just external manifestations but also as reflections of our internal struggles. Precisely, replied the elder. In confronting the harsh truths of our existence, we encounter our own fragility. Judgments can act as both a mirror and a mentor. When faced with tribulation, one may discover durable faith or, conversely, succumb to despair. The spirit of prophecy holds a dual role. It warns of what lies ahead while also fervently urging humanity to awaken. A ripple of understanding washed over John. Yet, how can we convey this to those who feel lost and abandoned amidst such despair? Many refuse to look toward the light, blinded by their fears or their anger at the world. How do we invite them into a dance with grace when judgment looms so heavily over their reality? The elder's eyes sparkled with compassion. Ah, dear John, therein lies another layer. While the truth of judgment must be conveyed, it is only through unwavering love that its essence can be softened. Approach them as a friend would approach a brother in distress. First, embody the light yourself, and allow that light to draw them closer. A gentle word, a patient heart, and unwavering kindness may be the soft touch they need to unveil their own fears in the presence of grace. As John absorbed this profound guidance, he felt a flicker of hope reignite within him. Still, he could not shake the weight of his earlier question. If we are to embody love in our approach, how do we properly prepare ourselves for the inevitable rejection? How do we steel our hearts against the pain of being cast aside in our attempts to guide others toward the light? The elder turned his gaze from the horizon to John, his expression serene yet resolute. To love without condition is to risk vulnerability. But John, therein lies the call to true discipleship. There is strength in standing firm amidst rejection, for love does not seek its own. It finds meaning not in the response but in the unwavering act of giving itself freely. As these words lingered in the atmosphere, John's heart beat heavily with the weight of the knowledge gained yet still incomplete. How does one reconcile the heart's yearning to love with the fear of rejection, especially when the path to grace seems so tangled in the shadows of judgment? Would he possess the courage to remain steadfast even when met with clenched fists rather than open hearts? As the day deepened, casting long shadows across the earth, John felt a stirring within him, pulling him further into the inquiry of judgment and grace. The elder's words echoed in his mind, but there was an urgency that spurred him to question further. "What do you see, wise one?" he asked, glancing toward the horizon now tinted with the warm hues of dusk. "What lies ahead in this dance between judgment and mercy? If the judgments are meant as a mirror and a call, what of those who choose to turn away from its reflection? What then shall become of them?" The elder paused, his gaze drifting further, as if peering into the depths of time itself. "Ah, John," he mused, "to ponder the fate of the lost is to step onto fragile ground. The prophets spoke of 3 great judgments, harsh in their severity, yet rich with layers of purpose. There is a reason for each, beyond mere punishment. They seek not just to proclaim a dire message but to awaken a slumbering spirit within humanity. What if those particular judgments were meant to unveil the ironically hidden mercy of God?" John proposed hesitantly. Could their harshness be the very force needed to shatter the chains of complacency gripping the hearts of many? The elder offered a grave nod. "You grasp part of the truth. The severity of judgment, stark in its nature, conjures a clearer vision, stirring action where stagnation reigned. The first of these judgments, akin to the sound of a trumpet, serves as a warning, a call to preparation and awakening. Yet, it can bring about fear, not unlike the early rumblings of a storm." John pondered this, furrowing his brow. What hope is found for those still asleep in despair when the storm brews overhead? For them, these warnings may sound like doom rather than a divine invitation. Indeed, my young friend, therein lies the tension, the elder continued. The second judgment manifests as a great tribulation, a time when the fabric of comfort is torn away, revealing the raw, unmediated essence of existence. It is within this upheaval that souls may finally seek shelter. In the whirling chaos, they may find the fortitude of community, the bond of shared struggles, and somewhere in the wreckage, they may glimpse the merciful hand extended by the Creator. But why must it come to such turmoil? John questioned, feeling the weight of the implications. It appears cruel that transformation must often be birthed from suffering. How can we view that divine hand amidst the flames of trials? Again, the elder's eyes shone with a knowing glint. "You challenge the deep truths, John. It is within the dark that we often see the stars. The third and final judgment speaks to a reckoning with our own hearts. It lays bare our intentions, prompting us to confront the shadows we harbor. Why do we resist the light? What keeps us bound? Those are the haunting questions that follow a soul ensnared in the dance between judgment and mercy. John felt as though the fabric of reality was shifting beneath him. He was on the precipice of unveiling insights that could alter his path forever. However, a sense of unease rippled through him. Still, wise one, how do we communicate this profound truth without isolating those we wish to guide? The desire to reveal light in the darkness may inadvertently alienate a heart still tender from past wounds. The elder's response came slowly, mindful and deliberate. Love is patient and gently persistent. One must walk alongside the broken with humility, recognizing that their journey may not mirror your own. Share the truths, but do so wrapped in authenticity and compassion. Learn to listen to truly hear their fears, their hopes, their suffering. In that space of mutual vulnerability, even the fiercest hearts become softened. As these words settled into John's heart, he realized the depth of the journey required of a true disciple. The reflection on judgment and its duality danced within him, a balancing act of truth and grace that simultaneously invited and challenged. But this realization brought forth a new query, lingering in the shadows of his pondering mind. Could he truly accept the complexities of this narrative where judgment and mercy coexist and still find the courage to extend his own heart, fully exposed, to a world so consumed by fear? Would the light he sought to embody ever guide another out of darkness, or would it simply illuminate the magnitude of his own vulnerability? As twilight surrendered to night, the flickering stars scattered across the heavens seemed to take on whispers, each shimmering point a story waiting to be told. John sat in contemplative silence beside the elder, the weight of their shared conversation enveloping him like a thick cloak. The night air was cool and crisp, contrasting sharply with the warmth in his chest, wrought from the insights exchanged. "Tell me, wise one," John ventured into the serenity, his voice barely more than a breath, "what comes after the judgments? If they serve to unveil, to awaken, then what is the path beyond the mirror's reflection?" He found himself drawn ever deeper into a yearning for understanding, a thirst that wouldn't rest. The elder turned to him, his eyes alight with a flicker of something elusive. "What lies beyond judgment is hope, my young friend. It is the promise of renewal, forged through tribulation. Yet, this renewal does not appear as a gentle dawn after a storm. It is birthed through struggle, through the wrestling with choices made, and to embrace it, we must first be willing to face the shadows." John furrowed his brow, grappling with the images forming in his mind. But to face the shadows means confronting our failings, our fears. How can that lead us into hope? Would not many prefer to dwell in ignorance instead? That intention to turn away from pina common plight, the elder replied thoughtfully. But wisdom reveals that one must first dwell in the darkness to appreciate the light. The journey is often cyclical. Awareness breeds understanding, understanding fosters compassion, and from compassion springs grace. Each judgment, each layer of suffering, is an invitation to deeper awareness, to deeper love. John sat in quiet reflection. Yet, if hope is the promise, how do we ensure that hope guides those lost in despair? How do we speak it into existence for souls battered by judgment? There are no easy answers for this, the elder acknowledged, his expression softening. Each circumstance is unique. Some may need a gentle nudge, a soft whisper of hope amidst their chaos. Others may require the starkness of honest truth, the very judgment we fear. Be ready at all times, study each encounter and listen well. Your heart must remain a vessel willing to embrace both light and shadow. A sense of responsibility stirred within John. How can I prepare such a vessel? Is it enough merely to desire to guide? I often feel my own apprehension, my own failings overwhelming. Desire is but the first step, the elder interjected gently, yet the journey inward is where true preparation lies. Seek humility through reflection. Embrace your own shadows before extending your light to others. It is through acknowledging your battles that you will find the integrity to lead them out of theirs. This path is neither quick nor straightforward, but it is necessary. As the night deepened, John contemplated these potent words, feeling both a surge of hope and an encumbering weight of responsibility. His mind swirled with questions, each lobbed like stones into the still waters of his spirit. How could he cultivate the right heart to fulfill such a daunting duty? What if his heart grew weary under the weight of such expectations? If he offered his vulnerability, would the world receive it, or would it recoil, leaving him alone to search for the light? The whispers of the stars began to weave together, providing an answer that was both veiled and haunting. In the infinite cosmos, was there a truth waiting to be revealed, one that transcended judgment and pointed unerringly towards mercy? As he wrestled with the unknowns, John's heart beat in tandem with an unspoken question that lingered in the quiet. In seeking to guide others through their trials, how might he find the very grace he himself sought on this pilgrimage of faith? As dawn approached, a veil of soft light rolled over the horizon, soothing the whispers of the night. John rose to his feet, energized by the elder's words yet burdened by his own uncertainties. The world around him embarked upon the cusp of awakening beckoned him forward into an uncertain day. As he took a deep breath, he felt the rhythm of life pulse through the air, as if even nature held its breath in anticipation. The elder remained seated, eyes closed, a serene smile upon his lips. John turned away, walking towards the path that wound through the tranquil landscape. Each step sent ripples through his contemplation, as the question continued to circle in his mind: how could he truly engage with the shadows within himself, and what truth lay buried beneath the surface of his fear? As he walked, he noticed the stillness of the sun rising. Its warmth began to seep into him, slowly igniting a flicker of light that pushed back against the confines of his apprehension. He made his way to a cluster of ancient trees, their gnarled branches reaching outward, a testament to years of challenges endured. It struck him that these trees bore witness to the cycles of both suffering and growth. Just as people do, they too had faced storms, droughts, and darkness, all while rooting deeper into the earth. Perhaps, John thought aloud, growth is not merely inherent but also an active choice. He took a moment to touch the rough bark of one tree, feeling its story beneath his fingertips. If such a sturdy tree can endure hardships and still flourish, could I not do the same? Might my struggles yield wisdom like those long-standing roots? He felt a wave of understanding wash over him, mingling with the light of dawn. The trees were anchored by something greater, something unseen yet profoundly felt. In that moment, he pondered the force that connected them all, the essence of grace which he sought, a gentle reminder that he wasn't alone in his struggles. As he strolled deeper into the grove, John began to question what shadows remained unacknowledged within him. What burdens did he cling to that might be relinquished in order to take this next step on his pilgrimage? With renewed resolve, he yearned to explore the deeper recesses of his heart, to sift through the ambitions and fears, illuminating each shadow with the light of understanding. Just then, a rustle in the bushes caught his attention, bringing him back to the present. A rabbit emerged cautiously, its nose twitching as it surveyed the newcomer. John knelt to meet its gaze, realizing the creature represented the pure instinct of survival amid the uncertainties of life. "You too face the world despite your fears," he murmured softly, sensing a kinship with the fragile creature. "What wisdom do you carry in your heart?" The rabbit seemed to pause, as if weighing its options, then hopped forward, low on the ground. A small act, yet one that spoke of resilience and the courage to move forward regardless of danger. In the gentle movements of this small creature, John found a deeper reflection of his own unease and potential. As the light spread, illuminating the grove, he felt an urgency rising within him. While he could not yet understand all the facets of the path that lay ahead, he realized that facing the shadows was integral to unlocking the reservoir of light within himself, an endeavor that he was beginning to see as not just a personal undertaking, but as a shared journey with others desperately seeking illumination in their own darkness. Yet, even with this clarity, the path still felt obscured. The intricacies of his journey involved not just his shadows, but the judgments and struggles of countless souls he might encounter. How could he channel this nascent understanding when he felt so unprepared? Would it be enough to embrace his challenge and extend acceptance to others, or were there deeper layers of responsibility still waiting to unfold? The rabbit bounded away into the underbrush, leaving John alone again, a whirlwind of questions igniting like sparks within him. He stood, hesitant yet resolute, yearning for guidance from the unseen. In this moment, he asked himself, if facing my own shadows opens pathways of grace, how can I help others find theirs when the world feels so fractured? What mysteries lie ahead that will weave together the judgments of the past and the hope of renewal? As John stood in the grove, the newfound warmth of the sun washed over him, wrapping him in its golden embrace. Each ray seemed to illuminate not only the path ahead, but also the questions swirling in his mind, beckoning him deeper into reflection. The air was thick with the scent of earth and new beginnings, a reminder that even the most desolate places could spring forth with life. With a heart both heavy and hopeful, he began to wander again. The landscape around him shifted, revealing a hidden valley where the lushness of life exploded in vibrant hues. Flowers danced in the gentle breeze, their colors brilliant and unfurling, as though the earth itself celebrated the dawn. Yet, amid this beauty, John felt an unsettling tug within him. The vibrancy felt almost stark against the shadows that lingered in the corners of his heart. As if in answer to his unvoiced worries, an old man appeared, his presence commanding yet gentle. His skin bore the stories of many seasons, etched in lines that spoke of wisdom and profound understanding. The elder approached with a knowing smile, his eyes sparkling like distant stars. "Ah, the seeker of truth stands at the crossroads," he said, his voice smooth as the flowing river nearby. "You bear the weight of judgment, do you not? Judgment not only of yourself but of the world around you." John hesitated, uncertain how this stranger discerned his internal struggle. "I feel a darkness pooling within me. What if the shadows I recognize are merely reflections of a greater truth? What if they cast judgments on others without me even realizing it?" The elder nodded, acknowledging the depth of John's fears. "Indeed, it is often our perceptions both of ourselves and others that cast shadows on our paths. But have you considered that the harshest judgments can reveal not just fault, but an invitation to deeper understanding? Just as a tree's bark may appear rough, it shelters the growth within." John pondered this, the elder's words echoed with weight. He remembered his earlier thoughts about the trees, their struggles mirroring his own. "But how, elder? How can I reconcile my own burdens with what I see in others?" The old man's gaze turned to the horizon, where the sun brightened the sky. "Perhaps the key lies in embracing these judgments. Instead of casting them aside as burdens, allow them to guide you in compassion. To understand your heart's shadows might require you to walk alongside those in their own darkness. This communion can illuminate unexpected paths." At that moment, a sudden gust of wind rustled through the trees, sending leaves spiraling like confessions toward the ground. The vibrant colors of the valley appeared to shimmer in response to the elder's energy, as if affirming his words. John felt a stirring within him, a thought that had long been buried now surfacing like a long-forgotten melody. Could it be that through recognizing my own shadows, I might help others illuminate theirs? He whispered, the realization both thrilling and terrifying. The elder turned back to him, a glint of understanding in his eyes. "Indeed, my child. Within every harsh judgment lies a question waiting to be unearthed. When you confront your own fears, you become a beacon for others." As John soaked in this revelation, the air grew heavy with possibility. Yet, with it came an understanding that the journey would not be simple or straightforward. To confront his shadows would mean facing the intricacies of pain and darkness that dance within the human experience. A daunting, yet sacred responsibility, but still, uncertainty lingered. The world was fraught with judgments that lay not only in his heart but also among those he would encounter. How could he navigate these complex threads without becoming ensnared in the fears that sought to bind him? As the elder began to walk away, John called after him. "Elder, how do I remain steadfast when darkness seems overwhelming? How can hope persist amidst the chaos of such harsh realities?" The old man paused, turning slightly as a gentle breeze tousled his hair. "Perhaps the answer lies not in the absence of darkness, but in your willingness to embrace the light that resides within you, even amid it. Seek understanding, and let compassion be your guide even when the path seems fragmented." As the elder's figure faded into the intricacies of the valley, John felt the weight of his questions press down once more, yet also the flicker of hope ignite anew. He closed his eyes, allowing the winds of change to whisper through the valley's vibrant tapestry. In that contemplative silence, he couldn't help but wonder, how can the harsh judgments I face lead me towards a deeper compassion for others? What if each shadow I uncover is not a call to retreat, but a step towards a greater collective awakening? As the sun began to rise higher, casting sprawling golden rays upon the valley, John felt a stirring within him, a sense of urgency that now cradled his spirit. The elder's words echoed in his mind, weaving together strands of clarity that he had long sought. While doubt still lingered, his heart pulsed with newfound determination. He had witnessed the darkness and explored the depths of judgment. Now it was time to turn towards the unfolding light and embrace the call to action that resonated deep within him. In that moment of clarity, John took a step forward, feeling as if he were embarking on a new pilgrimage of faith and purpose. The question first spoken to the elder now became the catalyst of his journey. How could the shadows he had recognized transform into invitations for connection? If the harsh judgments unveiled profound truths, how could those revelations manifest into a force for renewal? With each stride through the thrumming valley, he encountered diverse souls, each grappling with pain and doubt, bewilderment and grief, just as he had. There were some caught in despair, their lives tangled in the threads of judgment, others were illuminated by flickers of hope. John approached them with humility, guided by the elder's wisdom that illuminated the path forward. He greeted each person with open arms and gentle words, allowing the currents of compassion he had nurtured within himself to flow freely. One by one, he listened to their stories of struggle, each a stark reminder of the shared human narrative woven beneath the surface of all fears and joys. The vulnerability of those moments kindled within John a fierce light, a flame ignited by the fierce belief that redemption awaited each soul. In that space of authenticity and love, he saw how his acceptance of his own shadows granted him the ability to hold others in their anguish. Soon, what had begun as a personal exploration blossomed into a collective awakening. John became a vessel, the bridge between judgment and grace, inviting empathy into the fold, reminding them of the beauty that resonates even in the scars. With each story shared, he witnessed how the light within began to soothe the wounds and how hearts, once hardened by despair, began to soften. Then came a moment of profound transformation. A distant cry echoed through the valley, a voice of anguish wrought in despair. John turned, recognizing a figure struggling against the tide of turmoil. It was a woman, her eyes shadowed by sorrow, consumed by feelings of abandonment and loss. The moment gripped his heart as he felt the draw of connection, the shadows of judgment calling him forward. In that space of vulnerability, John approached her, awareness igniting within him the gravity of the circumstances she faced. "What burdens weigh upon your soul?" he asked softly, a reflection of the love he had extended to others. The woman, caught in the snare of her suffering, locked eyes with him. "I am lost," she replied, tears spilling forth. "All I have faced has left me shackled to my pain. I feel unseen, unheard, forever trapped in darkness." John felt the weight of her words as if they were his own, drawing from his experiences in the shadowy depths and the journeys of others he encountered. "Perhaps it is here, in this space between pain and light, that we may journey together," he said, reaching out to her, inviting her to share her heart, a delicate balance where empathy could meet vulnerability. As she began to speak of her loss and despair, something remarkable unfolded. The shadows that had long threatened to overwhelm her began to lose their grip, spoken into the light of understanding and shared grief. And in that moment, John felt a wave crash over him, a powerful revelation that amidst the harshness of judgment, hope was alive. It was born not only in the light but in the very act of holding one another amidst the darkness. With each shared story their pain became a tapestry, woven with threads of compassion, empathy, and love. What had once been a burden turned to a collective offering, their shadows became light and purification for both. John understood then that within the depths of suffering lay the sacred potential for reconciliation. Suddenly, it dawned on him a truth that resonated beyond the conversation and the valley, past the judgment and the mercy. The harsh judgments were not marks of condemnation upon humanity's heart, they were profound invitations, deeply encouraging souls to awaken. They called for the return of love, the embrace of vulnerability, and the willingness to step boldly into grace even in the face of adversity. And as dawn turned to day, John took that revelation beyond the grove, infused it with purpose, and shared it wherever he ventured. The whispers of the stars that once held secrets now resonated with a new melody, his life's mission blooming with colorful fervor, as he invited others to awaken to their own stories woven through the judgments of life. In the years that followed, the world he tread upon blossomed anew, filled with flourishing bodies of seekers and siblings who learned to embrace their shadows, transforming them into the radiant light of purpose, a community of souls who understood that mercy lay not in judgment, but in the ability to face oneself and find grace amidst the most turbulent storms. And so, the journey continued, echoing through the ages, that with every flame of suffering and every mark of judgment, there lies the potential for unparalleled transformation. John learned not just to discern the shadows around him, but to cherish their revelations, forging a legacy built not on fear, but on love, the truest embodiment of faith, shining brilliantly even in the darkest of nights. Thus, within the endless tapestry of life, judgment and mercy dance together, interweaving, inviting hearts toward an eternal embrace of grace.